Here in Venice, I'm going to talk about in Corinthians when it says that I speak with the signs of angels, have all understanding and all knowledge, but not have love, then I have nothing. Well, what did it mean when it talked about the signs of angels? A lot of times, and you can find this in different communications classes in modern colleges, but they'll speak about how most of the communication that we have is nonverbal. The way that we go about and just uphold ourselves, you can tell whether we're receptive, when we're looking at something that we think is perfect, or whether we want to connect. And generally, the way that we have with our pantomime, our hand motions, and the mantras that we have end up being an insight into the soul. You can tell if someone's standing, crossing their arms, if they're self-indulgent. You can also see, if you look back historically, where those that would give wisdom would end up having that blessing that would go forth, and they would end up giving that understanding. And so you'll see with the infant harmonic, the different hand motions that they have, and even within the saints, so that you would see, for instance, with Christ, how he would have his hands set here or here, and then the different variances between Enoch, St. Peter. You can go through all of them, and ultimately it's a different portion for the saints and a part of it. You could say a pantomime, more or less, is actually part of that angelic knowledge. And so part of the way that they end up speaking spiritually ends up being with the way that people carry themselves. So you can look at someone, and you can tell, actually a very great version of this is from Raphael Santi. They end up showing that generally it was in Greece, and you see Socrates and Plato walking through in the middle of the city. And when you look at it, you're able to see the archetype of every different person around. And you see the person who is a note of distrust. You see another that has a passion of love, another, the hangman, and another, is the layman. Then what you have at the center of it are the two philosophers. The philosophers themselves, Socrates pointing up with the oneness of God. And so even that reminds me of the, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh, Elokeinu, Chomelech Olam, Yahweh. But even then Socrates was pointing to that oneness of God, where you also see then Aristotle, who's writing it all down, is actually sitting there putting it all out. And so what you have is these philosophers that are given the idea of the oneness of God and then bestowing that information and the knowledge into the people within the art itself from Raphael Santi. So Raphael's work is great. As I looked over here, you can literally see built up with the hands, generally from the perfection, the bonding, the imploration, the joining, the contemplation, and then up to the respect. And so what you end up having is you're able to look at these and see the different signs. You can tell the way that the Spirit is speaking. So when you're speaking with an angelic presence, and anyone in general, you're able to look at your neighbor and see the way that they perceive things around you through their intentions, through their thoughts, their perceptions, and also their body language. So that ends up giving you that idea. So you can tell when someone's receptive to your speech, and then other times when people see it as self-indulgent. And so what happens is that ultimately, even knowing all of this, the whole idea comes back to what it speaks about from Paul, but it was to have that love. So you have to build up to that affection, and under that respect, and build it up with that love so that you can go forth in this world having that wisdom, that understanding. The passage ends like this. It says, faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. This is Reverend Casey Carroll from Venice, wishing you peace and al-khawa, all love. See you.